Hello and welcome back. Happy New Year to you all. After a break of a few weeks, I'm back with another review. This time, something that I know's been missing in my life, a trail camera. More specifically, the Hikamic 12 megapixel 1080p game and trail HD camera. There are a lot of these on the market at around £45 to £65, and a lot of those seem to be very similar. This sort of camera used to cost around £250 and the market was dominated by Bushnell. In fact, that company still sells cameras at around that price point. I thought I'd take a look at what you can get for around £50. This camera gives you 12 megapixel stills and 1080p HD video at 29.97 frames a second, motion activated recording and IR illumination with no glow LEDs. The camera sensor itself is very small and looks like it's only really about 5 megapixels. And this is interpolated on recording to 12 megapixels, which itself causes some problems. The PIR detector is specified to pick up movement over a 120-degree arc. In testing, I found that this is rather generous. It's maybe 90 to 100 degrees, and my one seems to be a little off-center. More sensitive on the right-hand side of the camera as you look at it. It is very sensitive to movement though. The 24 LEDs are mounted around a light sensor, only triggering them when required. Although there is quite a hotspot in the centre of the image, which we'll see later with examples. There's also a status LED above it, as you can see here. In the box you get the camera with the attached strap mount, a strap, a USB cable and another mount allowing you to attach the camera to a flat surface. Here's the screw thread, and next to it is the external jack for powering the camera with an external power adapter or battery pack. As for internal powering, you can use 4 or 8 AA's. I've been using low self-discharge 2150 mAh batteries and they've been working well. I haven't had to replace them yet after using this for about 2 weeks. Whilst of course this is meant to be used outdoors, there is no rubber seal on the door, so I don't think it would survive very strong storms. Inside, below the display, are the membrane menu buttons, the SD card slot, USB port and power switch. This switch has 3 positions: off, test and on. You need to set up the camera in the menus with it in the test position. So let's have a look at the menu system. There's quite a bit in here. First you need to set the mode, stills video or stills and video. I have it set to the latter here. Then the size of the stills. You're probably better off setting this to 5 megapixel default. The 12 megapixel just takes up more space and doesn't look as good. Then you can choose the video resolution. Note that the horizontal angle of the video is wider than the stills, as I'll demonstrate later. Here you set how many pictures it takes in one go. This fires before the video. Here you set the length of the video recording. Then the interval between activations. Then you turn on or off the timestamp. And in this menu you can limit the hours of operation. Then you can set a password and a serial number if you're using multiple cameras. You can also set it to time-lapse mode, which ignores the motion sensor, and there are some other options, usual things here which I won't bore you with. So when you finish with the setup, you move the switch over to the right, and then you only get about 5 seconds to close up the camera before it becomes active. The LED on the front lets you know what's going on because it blinks 5 times. I do think they should have made this longer, probably about 15 seconds. One other thing this LED does, if you set everything up in test mode and then close up the camera without turning it on, the front LED blinks at you when the PIR detects movement. This is quite handy. Just remember to flick the switch into the on position when you're happy with the positioning. So finally, here are some shots. Daytime first. Quite challenging with low sun into the lens, but I think the image has a very low dynamic range. The blacks here are quite crushed. The video on the other hand is quite noisy but has better range. As you can see, the video has a wider field of view than that of the stills. The daytime video actually reveals more compression artifacts than the IR video, which I think is purely down to the noise. The nighttime stuff is quite disappointing, a great big hotspot in the centre. I'm not too sure what triggered the recording here, as there's nothing in the shot. This happened quite a few times. As you can see here, the shutter speed was quite low. It was a 1/14 of a second. I can only just make out the fox in the bottom left. It looks like the camera chooses between two fixed ISOs, 100 for good light and 1500 for IR illuminated shots. You can see that the camera is in IR mode because the filter has moved away from the camera lens, but the LEDs aren't active. Don't know what happened to that fox in the previous picture, it must have been really moving. So what do I think? Well, it's a bit disappointing. The quality of the video or stills are not award-winning. With better firmware and auto exposure biasing, I think we could get better images. It's all down to power really. It doesn't take much power and lasts ages, but this has a direct effect on the quality. There are some things that could be easily improved. Get rid of the music, extend the inactive time after switching the unit on. Oh, and make it play back video without having to offload the clips. Although this is a major power draw, so I doubt we'll see that at this level anytime soon. Please remember to subscribe if you like this sort of content and hit that thumbs up button. It really helps me know what to produce. Thanks for watching and see you next time.